Good morning, everybody. We're going to play with the chair a little bit today as we continue a little bit of work on the psoas and the quads. So if you have a chair, go ahead and sit. And there's a lot of this class that you could certainly do without a chair. So if you would rather sit on your mat, and do the initial stretching and things from there, that's wonderful. But otherwise, and I'm sitting on a cushion, but so please sit on a blanket, a low pillow, something to get yourself really comfortable. And then take the shoulders up to the ears, roll them back and let them come down, and then maybe let the hands rest in your lap. And find that really nice long spine, back of the neck is long, the crown of the head. It's interesting, we say crown of the head reaching up toward the ceiling, and a lot of people will lift their chin, but it's kind of almost like if you were to level a plate on your head and then try to make that get closer to the ceiling. It's a very neutral place for the head, neck to sit, if that makes sense. And then the shoulders come to the side body. The low belly is toned just a little bit. And I want you to start with just some easy breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Good, taking the breath in. And exhaling it out. Finding yourself centered on your mat. Finding yourself in this present moment, letting all the other thoughts kind of drift off. And then place one hand at the low belly and one hand at the chest. And imagine those two places moving away from each other without arching in the back. So just feel as if the chest got taller and the tailbone got longer, and there's a little more space in the mid-abdomen or the mid-belly. And as you inhale, feel the lower hand move out to the front, take more in, feel the mid-belly, and then finally feel the upper chest all moving out, all taking in that inhale. And as you exhale, the upper hand softens but doesn't cave in. And then mid-belly and lower belly, 3-part breath, Dirga Pranayama, inhaling. And exhaling. Feeling these 3 parts of the front body really, belly, low belly, mid belly, chest rise up. And feeling them soften back down and in. Good, few more breaths right here. Feel your feet grounded on the floor. Good, last one right here. And then let the hands go. Just shake out your hands, everybody. Shake them out. And then roll the wrists. And then inhale, take it up. Exhale to your heart. Good, release, take it up. Exhale to heart. 3 more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, heart. 2 more, take it up. Exhale down. Last one. Exhale it out. And release the hands, maybe come a little bit closer to the edge, the front edge of your seat. Make sure that it doesn't tip, right? There's lots of safety things with the chair. One of them is making sure it doesn't tip, it doesn't feel wobbly. So always position your weight accordingly. And then take the feet just a little bit wider, hands to knees, and a few seated cats and cows. As you bring the body chest forward, maybe lift the chin. As you exhale, curl it back. If you're touching the back of your chair and you can scoot further forward, go ahead and scoot further forward so your back has plenty of room to move. Good, a couple more here. Inhale, exhale, inhale it up, and exhale. Good, one more right here. Inhale, really reach torso forward. Exhale, really curl it. And then come back to neutral, take the feet even wider and just drop your elbows down to your knees. And feel the length of your torso, right? So right away, I notice if I'm just kind of hanging out, my low back feels maybe a little rounded. So I'm going to draw the hips forward a little bit, anterior rotation. I'm going to start to lengthen through the spine without overarching the lower back. And I'm just going to see how that feels. Mindful, super mindful of your neck. If it's okay, I want you to tuck your chin and then raise it up and tuck and lift. Good. One more here, just to tuck and a lift. And then find neutral with your neck, head. Sit here for a moment, think about it, watch the lower back, tone the low belly in, feel both hips nice and level, and then maybe start to bring the chest a little bit lower. Maybe you take those hands to shins, maybe to feet, maybe, sorry, I didn't cue that ahead of time, maybe to a block right at the center of your feet. And then pause. And it's almost like a little weird child's pose. My elbows are inside my knees. My head is neutral. And I'm just starting to stretch out this back of mine. Just getting everything woken up, even though it's 10:30 in the morning. Big deep breath. Some of you can go lower. You know who you are. You can drop the head down. You can get a big stretch for that back body. Please be mindful here. And then push up to neutral. Bring those hands back to your knees. Lengthen from your chest and come all the way up. Walk those feet back into hips width straight in one leg and then lift it up so that it is relatively level with your hips. If that's too much, lower it down, it's okay. Much better if you're sitting toward the edge of your chair, the end of your chair, than if you're sitting back. And then maybe the hands come to either side as we open up the chest and do this modification of Dandasana. If you're on the floor, your legs are both straight and one leg is lifting. Good, breathe everybody. Optional here, take the arms up. Big deep breath, and bend the knee, bring it into chest, either hold the front shin or behind the knee, depending on your knee. Squeeze it in and just straighten the other leg. Plant that leg that's on the floor, really press into, grab either your toe, your shin, somewhere on your foot, and straighten the leg. Opposite arm comes up, starting to get some stretch going here. Big deep breath, really keep that chest lifted. If you are rounding, the hand is down, the knee is bent, or you're not holding that foot at all, or that leg at all. Good, bend the knee, bring it in, set that foot on the floor. Good, let's switch sides. Both feet are grounded. Remember, you're gonna lift, which one was I on? And straighten it out. Like that felt really familiar. Good, so same thing, right? We start with that nice long torso. That's important. Once we're there, we can play with everything else. The leg down here, perfectly okay. This is how we're going to work for that quadricep, right? Good. When and if you're ready, arms go up. Woo. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You got this, everybody. Early morning work for the quads. Here we go. Bend the knee, bring it in. Take the hands either behind or in front. Draw that knee in, straighten the other leg. Some of this requires just a little bit of balance on the chair, right? Because you can feel a little like, oh, I don't have good grounding here. So dig in and then grab anywhere on the foot, anywhere on the shin, straighten the leg, lift up, take the opposite arm up, smile, breathe, breathe, breathe. Good, bend the knee, bring it in, release, bend both legs, straighten both legs, and just lift up. So you're kind of hovering on that edge, make sure it doesn't feel tippy. You're just stretching it out and then release. All right, final one here. You're gonna take, if I'm mirroring here, this would be your right leg. Lift it up, turn it out, bend the knee, come into a seated figure four. Now, for some of you, this is too much. So you're gonna straighten that leg out more. If you're on the floor, not on a chair, you're doing a seated figure four, pretty much the same thing. So start with just a little kind of rocking side to side, just opening up, waking up that hip. And then take the legs to center. If this feels fine for you, stay right here. Nice tall torso, feeling like you just grew a whole inch. Or start to come forward. Ooh, yeah, right? Depending on what you've been doing. Sometimes it's as simple as sitting too much. Sometimes it's walking, hiking, running, tennis. Any number of things can get those hips tight. So we're just hanging out here with this little figure four. I'm putting a little bit of weight on this knee to deepen my stretch. You don't have to, you can keep that off. If your knee is way up here, you shouldn't be pushing down. In fact, nobody should be pushing down. But if your knee is way up and you got to stretch, leave it there, everybody. And then once again, wherever you are, you're either going to stay or you're going to come on down. Maybe wrap those hands around that bottom leg. Come into the pose just a little bit deeper. Be mindful of rounding. You can round here in the back a little bit. It's a really safe position. You're pretty supported, but I wouldn't overly round. There's not a reason to do that. So good, breathe, everybody. Release, come on up. Woo, get tall, release, stretch it out and let it go. Same thing other side, lift, straighten the leg, external rotation, bend the knee, come into figure four on this side. I'm really a proponent of a good warm up. Again, maybe it's my age, but so just feel this, right? Feel this nice neutral pose, not neutral here, but certainly in the hips, certainly in the spine. Maybe you're rocking a little bit side to side. Yeah. And then bring the legs to center. One, you're here, you're nice and tall. Two, you're just going to start to take it forward a little bit. Check out one side compared to the other. Often there's a little bit of a difference. I know it is for me, so maybe it is for you as well. Take some nice deep breaths. Walk the hands through optionally. Maybe you come down a little bit deeper. Maybe you got to adjust something. And kind of check out where you are in the moment, right? Where is your head? Where are your thoughts? What do you feel in this particular pose? Take a deep breath. Let it out. And then press up. Sit tall, lift, straighten, and release it and shake it out. All right, so we're going to start with this first stretch. And for me, the easiest way is to turn sideways on the chair. I'm going to show you two different ways. So one, you're turning sideways on the chair with this outside leg going back. Now, if you have a chair that has an arm, it's just not going to work. The second option is going to be to sit forward, sit toward one end of or one side of your chair and bring the legs back, bring the leg back that way. Okay, so either way works. If you are not in a chair, you're coming into your first lunge, low lunge, hands would be on blocks. But if you can do this in a chair, it's awesome. So I'm on the top of my back foot. I'm sitting on the kind of the middle edge of the chair. The other hand is on the back of the chair or at a wall, someplace where you feel stable and the chair's not gonna roll around. And then take a look at these hips. We played with this a whole bunch on Sunday. For me, this front hip has to come back. The back hip, this one, has to come forward, and so that I can level out the hips. Tone the belly in. Think about when we do a lunge on the floor and we're doing a 90-90 pose where the front leg's at 90 degrees and the back leg is at 90 degrees. We do a slight tuck of the pelvis. We engage through all of this and we stretch. If you feel great, you've got no sensation going on in this low back, sacrum, SI joint area, as you tuck down through the tailbone, tone the belly, and lean back just a little bit. Oh yeah, right? Big deep breath. If your back ankle is going, what? Flip your toes under. That's okay too, okay? So don't stress that front ankle if it's a little bit too much. In fact, you can try both ways because you can get a little different sensation there. Good, still with me? Take that arm up. Big deep breath. Whew. Yeah, notice if this bottom knee, by the way, is splaying out. If it is, try to drop it down toward the floor. Good, release that side. Just shift yourself around either to the opposite side chair or turn all the way around. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So same thing, other side. You're going to take the leg back. You're going to know which side is tighter. You're also going to do a little bit of an assessment, hands to sacrum. How are they feeling? Do they feel pretty even? Even if you put your hands to your hip, to the pelvis, up, right? The upper pelvis here, you can feel, oh, one hip's high, one hip's low. So just kind of level out where you can. And then pause, a little bit of tuck to the belly, right? Lengthen up. Maybe that outside arm comes up. Maybe you flip the toes under for either a little different sensation or because the top of your ankle is giving you a little chat. Good, breathe everybody. And then release it, come back to center. Good, pause for a second, one knee up, other knee up. Go back to the first side. Now, if you have blocks, go ahead and get your blocks kind of in front of you, whatever is in front of you for you. So if you're facing this way, if you're facing forward in your chair, blocks would be in front that way. Take the one leg back, flip the toes under. And notice where you are on the chair and try to get your whole thigh on the chair, most of your thigh seated on the chair. And then press the other leg back easy. Don't go too deep. So you're pressing it back, you're releasing, pressing it back. Yep, release, one more, press back. And then soften the back knee. Notice here. Now, if you want a little more stretch, you're going to take your butt forward on the chair to go deeper in the back leg. Here's where I want you to be really paying attention. It's not about how long you go. I find it super important for me to keep these hips level. So if I'm starting to really pull and torque on these SI joints, right? On these separate sides of the pelvis, then I might start to feel that later. So once you find your depth, keep the back knee soft. Take the torso forward, hands come to your knee. Still okay? I want you to just reach forward, take your hands to your block. Notice the front leg. See if you can keep it hip, knee, foot straight in the line. Mine was actually turned in just a little bit. Your hands are to your block, your belly is toned. Push off the chair and come into a high lunge right here. Good. Lower back to the chair. Grab your blocks with you. Turn around to the front. I know if you're sitting on a blanket, it can get a little slip slidey. Bring your blocks forward, go to the other side. Take the outside leg back. Take the leg on the chair all the way on, like that thigh, as much on it as you can. So once again, I'm looking at the front hip, front knee, front foot. I'm sitting up tall. I'm going to bend the back knee and maybe straighten. Do that a few times, just stretching through that leg. And you know who you are, be super, go a little less as opposed to a little bit more here. If your SI joints can be a little unstable, I would take it all in just a little bit here. And then sit really tall, feel that nice stretch. If you want more, you're going to slide forward to lengthen the back thigh. Breathe. And then take the torso forward. You can just rest on that knee. You can take your hands to your blocks. Check your front leg, make sure it's in alignment, and then lift off your chair. Big squeeze to the back glute, big squeeze to the front belly. And lower down, hands come back to the knees. Bring that back leg in and turn center. Ooh, yeah. Both hands on the chair, both knees up. Straighten the legs and bend. You can even lean back as long as you're not rounding. And back. One more. Straight and back. Woo, and release. Grab one block. Squeeze it between your thighs. Give it a good squeeze. And release it. All right, so you can move the blocks out of the way for a moment and come on up to standing. So it's interesting, what we just did was the inside leg was on the chair. So what we want to do next is take the outside leg forward. Step back with your back leg and see if you can find the edge of the chair. This is going to take a little bit of doing. So you got to walk the back leg back, you got to walk the front leg forward. I'm still holding on to the chair. And what I would like for you to feel is the back leg pressing against somewhere, pressing against the edge of the chair so that the leg cannot sink down. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And then you're going to take your hands, you're going to take the torso forward. You can lean on your thigh. You can take your hands to the floor. I want you to play here with this concept, this idea that this back thigh presses up to the ceiling. You'll hear me say that a lot. By the way, if you had your blocks here, that would probably be good too. But your hands, your elbows can come here. What I want you to feel is the back leg, so that as you lift up, the back leg doesn't sink down. The glute is active. You're in a high lunge. You can take the arms up. Big deep breath. And then release. Your hands go to your chair. Come on off. Be gentle. Shake it out. I'll leave the blocks on this side to demo on that. And then come to the other side of your chair. If you again have arms in the way, you could probably do similar by doing it this way, okay? With your leg resting on the front edge of the chair. So take your outside leg forward, take your back leg, your inside leg back, and try to find your chair. I know a lot depends on the chair, your body, how tall you are, how short you are. So as long as it's not pressing into the knee, I'm pretty good. So this back thigh presses toward the ceiling or doesn't sink to the floor. The hips feel even, right? Belly is toned. We're going to take the torso forward. You're going to get more pressure on the back thigh. Your hands can rest on chair, on knee, on block. I like this one in my body particularly because I've got a lot of feedback with the chair on the front thigh, pressing this back thigh back. Notice everybody. Good stability. Find your breath. Hands to knee. Lift the torso, tone it through the belly. Take the arms up. Finding a high lunge supported on the chair. And release. Carefully step away from the chair. Ooh, good. And then turn your chair so that it is at the front of your mat. Another safety cue on these chairs is that all four legs should be on your mat, especially if you have a slippery surface for a floor. I'm just going to move my little cushion out of the way because I don't need it. Place your hands on the chair, step back to down dog. If you're not using the chair, you're in down dog on your mat. Deep breath, everybody. Step forward with your right leg. Feel your right shin touch the mat or touch your chair. Press it in, keep your hands on the chair because otherwise that shin will probably just push your chair out of the way. And then fire up the back leg and think about that back thigh pressing up toward the ceiling. So you're pressing shin into chair, chair into shin. Lengthen through your torso. Keep, if your right leg is forward, keep your left hand on the chair and come into a twist. Now, notice back foot didn't turn out. It's straight. The hips are lengthening down, right? As if you could dig deep into a back pocket, opening up. Find your breath. Release both hands to the chair. Again, on the floor, you would be coming from lunge to plank, to down dog. Big deep breath, everybody. Stepping forward, opposite leg, bring your shin to your chair. If you're not using a chair, that shin is parallel, straight up, straight down. Find your pose, push the chair into your shin and vice versa. Breathe, feel the back thigh. So what I'm not doing is sinking the hip down. Remember last class we talked about that. I'm not dropping down, I'm keeping them level. Your opposite hand stays on the chair. Take the arm up. Nice little twist. Try to stay on that big toe mound of the back foot. Big deep breath. Release. Hands to your chair. Good stability. Step back to plank and hold. Both thighs aren't sinking. They're both pressing up. I would rather see a little height with your hips than a drop of the hips. Breathe. Downward facing dog. Hold. And then walk your feet up toward the chair and come up to standing. We're going to do one more thing with the chair, and then we're going to set this chair aside for now. If you have a wall or something you want to put your hand on, that's great. What we do, you can do in stages and steps. Again, it all depends on your chair. So look at your chair, find your stability, hands come to hips, and I want you to just tap one foot to the chair and down. 2, just 5 of them. 3, 4, 5. Set that down. Again, find your mountain pose. Other side. 1. What do you do with the standing leg? 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. pause. Going back to the first leg, depending on your chair. I'm gonna tap here, I'm gonna tap the top, I'm gonna tap the bottom, and down for 5. Here we go. Good core engagement. Your standing leg, by the way, isn't doing this thing, right? It is strong, mountain pose strong. All right, here we go, 4, 5. 1, 2, keep the standing leg strong. 3, keep the glute active. 4, and 5. Good. When you're ready, mountain pose, go to the other side. 1. This is balance work, a little bit of coordination. 3, 4, and 5. Good. Shake it out. We have one more here. Last one, go back to your first leg. Here's your option. Anything we just did. Tap the bottom and the top, or you're going to tap, extend out, tap, step back. Okay, there's that stretch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yep. 4, and 5. I hope you're looking at a still spot, not me moving around on the screen. Whew. All right, other side, everybody. Here we go. Tap, extend, tap, tap it back. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And shake it out. I laugh because when I'm doing balance work, I get very serious. So set your chair aside for now. Come up to the front of your mat and have both blocks up at the front of your mat. When you're ready, inhale, take it up. Exhale down to your blocks. Pause here. Kind of shake out your hips. You can walk feet just behind those blocks. Get into your first real forward fold. Let the back of the neck go. Breathe, everybody. Maybe the blocks are on their lowest setting. It tends to be more stable there. Soften your knees and step back with your right leg. You can take the blocks back up to middle. And I want you to play with this idea. Back knee bends and then presses up toward the ceiling. It bends, watch the knees, and straightens. 2 more. Bend, press up. Last one, bend, press up and hold. Now, what am I talking about? Right here. If I could leave that block on the back of my thigh, I would, right? But it'll fall. So I'm looking there. I'm going to level out the hips, tone in through the lower belly. Feel how stable this area of the sacrum feels. Take your hands to your knees, but don't lift up. By the way, right knee can be on the floor. Both hands to the back pockets. Push down on both sides as you lift up. Press back through the back of the thigh. Now, if your back knee is bent, it's okay. What it's telling me is that your psoas, quadricep, are most likely tight. The other thing that we'll do if our psoas is really tight is we'll pitch forward. So see what you can do. Maybe bend the back knee, take the torso up. Lengthen tailbone, tone in the belly, feel the hips even, and then see if the leg will straighten a little bit. As soon as those hips go wonky, bend the knee some more. Still good, arms up. I really want you to feel this. Bend the knee, pitch forward, hands to your blocks. Lower your back knee, set your other knee back, and just stretch back for a moment. That's it. And then come on up. You're gonna step forward with your right leg. We're doing the same thing on the other side. You can keep the bottom knee down, by the way. Otherwise, I want you to lift, hands are to your blocks, level out your hips. Where are they, right? Sometimes we can't even feel where they are in space. So you can wiggle a little. Oh yeah, there's the left hip down. There's the left hip up. Where is it for you? Draw in pubic bone to belly button. Feel what's happening right here. Can you put a cup of tea right there? And let it be steady for a second. Back thigh presses up. From here, just transfer your hands from the blocks to your knee. Press through the back leg, start to take the torso up wherever you are. And then bend your back knee a little. And straighten. Bend. And straighten. Bend. Good. Straighten. One more. Bend it. And straighten. Back glute active, big stretch through the psoas thigh of your left leg. The hips are even. Check them out. Put your hands on your hips, everybody. Feel the sacrum. Does it feel level? Does my front hip have to come back a little bit to get that sense? And then press down on the sacrum to lift the arms up. Breathe. Oh yeah. So same thing on this side. If you need to bend the knee a little, back knee, go ahead. It's okay. Notice. Hands come to thighs. Lean forward. Hands to blocks. Lower the knee. Step back through the other one. Move your blocks out of the way. Come to plank. Yep. Plank. Breathe. Hold the beach ball between the elbows. Lift one leg optionally. Lower. Lift the other. Remember, back thighs press up to the ceiling isometrically. Lower. Bend the knees. Bring the chest back. Find downward facing dog. Bend the knees in down dog, everybody. Lengthen through the tailbone. Straighten the legs. Watch the knees. Find your breath. And then inhale, tippy toes. Down to your knees. And slide onto your bellies. Yep. So, shake it out. Notice. And then press down strongly through the pubic bone, lift one leg. Same thing, right? Here we are. Breathe. Lower down. Lift the other leg. I want both hips on the floor. Both sides of the hips on the floor. If your lifted leg knee is bent, just see if you can straighten it more. And lower. Bend your first knee, flex your foot, lift the knee off the floor if you can. Lower down. Switch sides, bend the knee, flex the foot, push down through your hips, lift the knee off the floor. If it doesn't come off, that's okay. Engage the glutes. Lower, almost there. Turn onto your side. I have my head open. I have my head lifted so I don't get into that little ear piece. You can lower the head. Another great option, even for me, is to just put your side of your head on the block. Head neutral, belly tone, knees bent. Good. Keep your foot on the floor, lift your knee. Or keep your foot on the other foot. Lift the knee, keep the hip stacked. Lift the foot to level out the knee. Reach both back. I'm probably going to hit the wall. Just reach back right here. Don't let the knee fly up. And then take it into chest. Keep the knee bent, push back. And forward. Now a good feedback here is your own elbow to your own hip bone. I don't know if you can feel that or see that. So as I do that, if I'm starting to move into those hips, instead of moving in through the legs, hips, quads or psoas, I'm going to notice that that front hip bone is pulling away from my knee from my elbow too much. All right, so last one here. I want you to bring the knee back, bring it forward, straighten it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Slide it back, point the toes, hold, try to keep that hip from dropping. Okay, so we only have so much extension of the front hip. And if I remember my reading correctly, most of us are at 15% or less. I think 15% might be about the max, unless you're crazy gymnast or something. So anything more than your normal extension, this being extension, this being flexion, you're just going to dive into the low back to make that happen. Good, nice job, everybody. Release, just shake it out, and then turn over or switch sides. Oh, time's going quick today. All right, so you are stacked up. Hips are stacked, right? You can place that elbow up by the hip to get that sense. Just bring your knee to chest. Oh, sorry, wait, let's start the way we did the other side. Just draw the knee away from the other knee. Feel the glute engage. And then lift the hip to, or lift the foot to level it. Bring the knee to chest. Keep the knee bent and press it back. Good. Bring it up. Press it back. Just notice, right? What's happening in your body? Where's that front hip going if you pull back too far? All we're working on is psoas stretch, front hip extension, not tapping into low back, not tapping into SI joints. Good, one more. And then bring the knee forward, straighten the leg, press down through this leg, it'll help. Breathe, slide the leg back, point the toes, and see where it'll go on this side. I can already feel this leg does not go as far back as the other leg. So either this is tighter or I was overdoing the other side, right? Breathe. And bring the knee in, set it down, pause here for a moment. And then wherever you are on your mat, press up. And come back to the front of your mat. You're on table, hands and knees, table pose. If table or hands and knees is too much, come on down to elbows, tone in through the belly, press the right leg back, lift up. Here we are again. If you lift too far, what's happening? Everything going all kinds of wonky, right? That hip is rising, the other one's dropping. Level it out. Imagine that you've got a block underneath this thigh, pressing that thigh up toward the ceiling. When and if you're ready, simple balancing table. We've done this a zillion times. Take the front arm, reach it back instead. And breathe. Good, lower that side, go to the other side. Press the foot back, level the hips, lift the leg. Glute engages, opposite arm shoots out. Find your breath. Take the front arm back and reach. Release. Flip your toes under, lift both knees off the floor. And then just tap one knee and then the other. Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Breathe. And last one. Both knees up, downward facing dog. Hold on to your horses, everybody. Find your breath. Plank pose, almost done with this. Here we are, plank. 1, you're here. 2, both knees are on the floor. 3, single knee taps for 10. 1, don't let the hips drop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Downward facing dog. Breathe. Feet wide on your mat. Walk the hands back. Bend both knees. Hands to knees. Come on up. I know. All right. Grab your chairs, my darlings. We're going to use them again for that thing I showed you right before we started class. So you're going to place your chair on your mat. Place a blanket on your mat if you would like. Okay. I would love it if you have one hand near something stable, wall or something like this, or a piece of furniture. So even if you have to move your chair, it's okay. If you have something on your chair that can slide, like your blanket or this, makes it a lot easier. So face away from your chair, have one fingertip on something, or if you had a chair in front of you or a wall in front of you, that would work too. And place your outside leg on the chair, just so it's straight up and down if you can. So your leg is straight up and down. And just pause. Even here, if we talk, if we press the knee toward the floor, we're going to feel some stretch here. If this is too much, change something about it. Maybe you bring the foot out further. Maybe this is your stretch, right? Maybe this is where you're super tight. But you're here, you're going to lengthen. You're going to maybe take the opposite arm up. Don't have to. If you want to play with balance, let go of whatever you're holding on to, and just work with the standing leg. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. One, you take the foot down, you walk forward with the inside foot, take the foot up again. Your other option, if you have the room and you have the correct chair, is to slide the leg back a little bit. Check the hips. What's happening? What's happening? Right? Tap into what's going on. Pelvis, hips, belly, maybe a little bit of pelvic floor engagement just to draw those muscles of support up. Fingertip to something that keeps you stable. And then imagine taking both hips or the fullness of the sacrum and pressing it forward. Oh, yeah. Feel marvelous, have an opening. Now, if you start to arch in the low back, you're just too deep. You can take that foot back more. Watch the standing leg, by the way. Don't hyperextend the knee. Once again, toning in through the front. It's almost the top of the pelvis. As you lift up tall, there's nothing else you have to do. If you're at work and you're working, say at a desk for hours on end, get up. Turn that chair around, your hands are on your desk, your foot's on your chair, and stretch this baby out. All right, so I want you to release. Woo, take it up, shake it out. You can just switch legs as long as you're comfortable with that. If you need to turn your chair around, go ahead and do that as well. But go ahead and put your other foot on the chair and just check it out. Does that knee tend to, I'm just going to turn my chair around. Does it tend to splay out? right? Are you doing something funky with it where it's out here somewhere? And it just dropped heavy. And then stand tall on the standing leg. You can take your hands off of your support just to play with single leg strength balance. And then as you wish, I'm just going to step forward a little bit so I have more room to play. Put the foot back on there, tuck in through the pelvis, lengthen, lift up, and just feel that. So when we pause and allow the stretch, right? It's kind of yin-ish. We're giving the connective tissue a chance to stretch and spread out. And it really allows us to come back into that present moment awareness of going, oh yeah, this leg is funky compared to the other leg, or whatever it is for you. All right, slide back more if you want. Big deep breath. You got this, everybody. Don't overdo. If the hips started to go off, if you're starting to feel some tinginess in those SI joints, right? Back off. Breathe. And then release. Shake it out. We're gonna go back to the other side just for one, and this one is tricky. Okay, so I'm turning my chair around so I have that same leg out. This is only if it works, because it depends on your height, the chair, everything. I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna try to slide foot up, knee down. Okay. Now, if you don't have something to hold on to, please don't do this. That's all there is to it. Okay, because I want you to have that stability. But once you're there, whoo, it's like reaching back and holding your foot, right? But you have the stability of one, being standing, two, flexing, three, finding deeper stretch here. Go back to the first one we did if you want. Take the arms up if you want, and breathe. Take your hands down, lean forward to take that knee off. Good, let's go to the other side again. It doesn't work for everybody, and if it's not working for you, take your foot to the chair seat and be happy. All right, other side. You can play. Watch what is happening here. What I find a lot, and it's interesting, it's a lot with yoga students, and especially the more flexible ones, myself included, is that those SI joints, which is basically if you put your hands on your hips where your thumbs end up, is where your SI joints are, or where the little dimples are. It's where your pelvic rim comes into your sacrum, your ischium comes into your sacrum, and it's this little tiny joint. And it actually kind of does this as you walk, and that's where it can get a little loose. All right, everybody release. I realize I say SI joint over and over and go, what if somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about? All right, last one with the chair. You're gonna face your chair and you're just gonna have a seat. Again, if you cannot, because of your chair, turn yourself around, right? Do the hokey pokey and go wide here. But again, I like this because it's giving me some feedback. So your feet, your knees, your feet, everything lining up. Give your chair legs or side a little squeeze. Low belly is tone. Find your breath. That's it. Just breathe. That's all you're doing. What? That's all? That's all you're doing. Breathe, a little tiny squeeze of the chair. And then hands to the back of the chair, lift up, and just sit your chair. I'd like to use it as part of our Shavasana. So you could take it off your mat if you have the room, but just have it nearby so you're not fussing with it too much at the end. And then come back to the front of your mat. And now that I'm cooling down, I've got to put my shirt back on. Come to the front of your mat. Inhale, raise your arms up. You know what to do, even if I'm not doing it. Exhale, halfway down. Breathe. So you're here or here. And then release the rest of the way down. If your chair happens to be there, you can rest your forehead on it. Let your back stretch out, everybody. Please don't hang. Don't hang. And then step back to downward facing dog. Hold here, everyone. Plank pose. Hold. Knees down. Elbows down. Soft interlace of the fingers. Elbow plank. Hold here. Core work. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the glutes. Don't let the hips fall. Imagine the backs of the thighs pressing into the ceiling. Breathe. Lower the knees down. Woo. Walk the hands forward. Little puppy stretch here. And then as you release, come on down to your butt, your hips. Actually, let's sit for just a second because I did want to do a twist and I realized I didn't do that on the chair. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, arms to cactus, twist to one side. Let the hands come down. Open both shoulders up and back. Little bit of tone to the belly. And breathe. And then center cactus arms, twist to the other side, hands come down, breathe. And then to center. Good, grab one of your blocks and have it nearby. Lay in such a way that your chair is there for you. Because we're going to do legs up the chair for our Shavasana. So that way you don't have to flip around and all that silliness. Okay, so come on down to your back. That always feels so good after the work that we do. Grab your block, place it under your sacrum. Okay, if you put your hands on the curve of your hips, of your pelvis, your block is below that. And just pause here. And then slight pelvic tilts and tucks, just small here. You're just rolling that sacrum up and down, up and down. Breathe. And then find a neutral spot. For me, that neutral spot, the pelvis is pretty level, the hips feel level, my feet are pressing into the floor. Draw the upper body, or kind of lift the upper chest as you press the arms and shoulders into the mat. And then if you can, lift off your block. Bridge pose. So open hips, open psoas. Really important, right? Open quads, really important for bridge pose. I know, no stress in the lower back. I'm lengthening, I'm almost a slight tuck here, even though I'm lifting. Find your breath, everybody. And lower down. Option here, we're going to do 2 more bridges. Your second option is 1 foot off the floor so that we're working individual sides. You don't have to, you can even, if your chair is there, you can lift this way, right? So it's almost like a training wheel. with one foot on the chair, or you're going to press down through shoulders, upper arms, squeeze in through the belly, push into your one foot and lift off your block. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Set that foot down, lower back to your block, lift the other foot, push down, push strong, everybody, and lift up. You don't have to go far. You are working single side hip and transverse abdominis. Breathe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Set the foot down, lift both sides, lower both sides to your block. Oh, that feels good. Now, one of the ways that you can help stabilize your SIs are just this. It's a restorative bridge. You are supported across the SI joints. So you get a lot of stability there. Something that some of my gals out there can play with, and I'm just going to show you, but we're not going to stay, is if you can lift and turn the block at its narrow edge and lay on the narrow edge at the support of the sacrum, you're going to feel if one joint is off or the other one, because now the SI joints are kind of hanging on either side. It's not, when my SI joint is out, this doesn't feel good. When it's not out, like right now, this feels just fine. So something to play with. But then everybody lift up off your block and lower all the way down, all the way down. You're going to scoot your chair closer or your body closer to the chair and get your bum right up kind of in line with the chair. And then draw left knee to chest, take it up to the ceiling. Whew. Yep. Bring it into chest, set that leg back down. Switch sides, bring your right knee to chest, stretch it up to the ceiling. Bring it back to chest, set it down. Take both legs to the outside of your chair and just squeeze in. You're just trying to squeeze that chair between, for me, it's my ankles. You can go longer, squeeze like that, wherever your chair lands for you. And then release it. Take your legs up your chair. A couple things that you can do. If you have an open back, you're just sliding those feet under. If you don't have an open back, you can take the legs up your chair. Now, from what I understand from a hip release standpoint, is if your knees aren't resting on your chair, you're too tall, you're too short, try to adjust either with a blanket under your hips, which can feel really good, or a blanket under the lower part of the legs to give you more space so that you have a relatively speaking 90-degree angle where everything is touching, more or less. And then lengthen through your spine, feel the shoulders drop back. The legs should feel comfortable. Your hands can rest either on the low belly, or you can take one hand high, one hand low. And move into a few rounds of Dirga Pranayama, where you are drawing in the first third, the second third, and the third third. And then letting them out. Wherever you are, allow yourself to start to settle. Let the chair support your legs, support your weight. And another option, by the way, with the chair is if the chair just doesn't work for ankles, for legs and ankles, you can even do it like a cross leg or a really lightweight Baddha Konasana where the feet are together but the knees are out. So make your chair work for you. This is a very restorative pose to get your legs up higher than your torso. And just let go, everyone. Feel the hips. Feel the sacrum. Make any minor adjustments that you might feel you need to. Allow yourself to be in this present moment. Allow yourself to settle fully, comfortably, peacefully in your pose. Go softer still. Those of you who are ready, being very mindful of where you are with your legs up the chair, if that's where you still are. Start to wiggle your toes, free them from anywhere that they might be. Draw your knees toward your chest. And start to rock side to side. Allow the knees to rock and then finally roll to one side, curling all the way over to fetal pose. And pausing here just for a moment, just so that you can take in your practice. And then press up as you're ready. Bring your hands to your heart, everyone. Bow to your own inner wisdom. to that well of joy. Namaste.
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 Thank you, everybody.